Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be continuing our read-through of this really cool book called History of the World, Map by Map. You guys really seem to love this book, which is great because I love it too. And if this is the first video of this book that you're seeing, don't worry, you don't have to watch all the others first. I have not read through this book. I've flipped through it a few times, my own personal time, but I haven't read any of it. So we're going to explore this book together. So, where we are in history is that we're going to look at the Greek city-states. Let's see, where do we start off on this page? We start up here. Carefully slide this over. It says Greek unity 700 to 338 BCE. All Greek cities looked toward certain common places of pan-Hellenic significance throughout the Greek or Hellenistic world. These included Mount Olympus, the seat of the gods, Delphi, where an oracle spoke for all Greeks, and venues of pan-Hellenic festivals such as Olympia. So let's see. The little yellow circles here are pan-Hellenic sites. Let's see what we've got. Do you see any yellow circles? Okay, there's Olympia. We've got Mount Olympus. We've got... what else did it say? Delphi. Let's see, Delphi is right there. Delphi. I think that's it for yellow dots. Let's move to number 2, the Delian League. That is 478 to 431 BCE. In the wake of the Persian Wars, many Greek cities formed a league of cooperation whose leaders met annually on the tiny central island of Delos. Athens emerged as the leader of this league, but became ever more heavy-handed in its leadership, sparking innumerable revolts which it crushed ruthlessly. So all of the little red dots are states in the Delian League, which there are so many. My goodness, this was widespread. It looks like it's stuck just here to the Aegean Sea kind of area, up here into Byzantium, and down here into the islands. You can see a bunch here on Rhodes. The islands down here, so many. And then if you see a little red fist, those were states that were in revolt against Athens. So you can see Ephesus wasn't too happy. Over here at Chalcis, Eritrea, Pura, many others over here on Lesbos, and up here, so many. These people were not happy. Well, yeah, up here, even up here. A lot of people weren't too happy with Athens, which you can see is right here. I'll read all the little notes after. Next we have, leading up to that, would be the Peloponnesian War, which happened from 431 to 404 BCE. Although Sparta formed an alliance with Athens to fight Persia, it now headed the rival Peloponnesian League and objected to Athens' high-handed imperialism. When war broke out between Sparta and Athens, most of Greece leapt to either one side or the other. Sparta emerged victorious, but the conflict plunged the region into disarray. So we can see the Athenian expedition is this big arrow here, which we're going to read about more in a minute. All of the green places were allies of Athens, and all of the pink places allies of Sparta. Sorry if you can hear my neighbor upstairs. He's stomping around like he always does, right? The blue dots are states that were involved in the war. And you can see here, this is blue swords, a Spartan victory. And let's see. Is it just me or are these the same colors? These not the same colors? How can I tell if it's an Athenian victory or a Spartan victory? Either way, very large battles fought. I I honestly, like, I look at the map, I can see these are kind of dark blue, these are kind of light blue, but anyway, that's where battles were held in the Peloponnesian War. And then we have Greece weakened from 404 to 338 BCE. The Peloponnesian War spelled an end to stability and a blow to prosperity in Greece. From this point on, power ebbed and flowed between city-states and leagues. The constant fighting began to open an opportunity for an outside power, Greek-speaking Macedonia to the north, to expand and take control of the region. So the green dot here is the Macedonian capital, which you can see right there, looks like. Yes, Macedonia is right here. And what's today northern Greece and North Macedonia, obviously. So let's read all these little captions. I want to see what this is about here. It says 415 BCE, Athens unwisely sends an expedition to attack Syracuse in Sicily, allowing Sparta to capture the entire Athenian navy. Athens now stands little chance of winning the war. Yeah, from what I understand about the Peloponnesian War, it was the Spartans were like foot soldiers, like the elite soldiers, right? But the Athenians were the sailors. They were good at naval battles, so capturing their naval fleet is probably a big game changer, to be honest. Here we can see Cythera. It says in 424 BCE, Athens captured Cythera from Sparta during the Peloponnesian War. In, let's see, Melos, 416 BCE, neutral island of Melos is taken by Athens. And in an act that shocks many at home in Athens, all the inhabitants are massacred or enslaved. Big yikes for Athens. Here's Delos, 478 BCE, before all this happened. The tiny island of Delos is chosen as the seat of the treasury of the league, led by Athens, giving its name to the Delian League. Yeah, it seems it's more or less kind of in... I mean, it's a good meeting place, I assume. I guess. Let's see what else we have here at Athens. 454 BCE, pardon my tummy there. Athenian general Pericles moves the Delian League treasury from Delos to Athens, ostensibly to protect it from Persian attack, but uses league funds to build the Parthenon. Ooh, scandal. Very, very scandalous. Let's see up here at this battle at Amphipolis, 422 BCE. The Peloponnesian War moves north as Spartans march through Thessaly and Thrace to capture Amphipolis. Interesting. Yeah, really, because, Peloponnesia is just here, but it went all the way up here. It's much more than Peloponnesia and the Peloponnesian War. Over here, looks like we are in Lampsacus, I think. 431 to 404 BCE, control of the narrow straits of the Hellespont, the route to Athens' ally Byzantium, and the Black Sea is key in the Peloponnesian War. Oh, I see they're pointing to the Hellespont here. The little waterway here that leads up to the Sea of Marmara. They're not pointing at the town, they're pointing at the waterway. Makes sense. Very important little route there. Here's a battle. It says from 478 to 470 BCE, Ephesus and the other cities of Ionia joined the Delian League to protect themselves from Persia, swelling league numbers to around 200 cities. Yeah, it was a lot, wasn't it? Now, I believe the next page is going to talk about the Persians and the Greeks, and I'm correct. We're going to read about Greece and Persia at war. What a cool map. Lots of colors and arrows and things. Let's explore it. I'm so excited. First part is the Ionian Revolt from 499. Let me move this down a bit. 499 to 494 BCE. Backed by the Greek city-states of Athens and Eretria, the governor of the Ionian city Miletus, Aristogoras, that's a cool name, led a revolt against Persian rule in 499 BCE. The uprising spread to many cities along Persia's western frontier. In 498 BCE, allied Greek forces destroyed the Persian provincial capital, Sardis, but the retaliation culminated in a victory at Lade, which ended the revolt. I've never heard of that place. So many places I haven't heard of. So exciting. So revolts happened anywhere you see a yellow fist, which was many. My goodness. The cities were sacked anywhere you see a yellow fire, which I don't see any. City sacked. Oh, there's one. Oh, Sardis was sacked. That's right. I was just telling us. And important battles happened where you see these yellow swords, which I can see right here. That's Lade. That place I've never heard of, but know of now. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's probably not called that today. It's over in Turkey, but interesting. Let's see what happens next. The first Persian invasion. 492, make sure you guys can see. 492 to 490 BCE. In 492 BCE, Persian king Darius ordered an attack on Miletus. Under Mardonius's command, the Persian fleet sailed into the Aegean Sea and destroyed the Ionian fleet. Meanwhile, the army recaptured Miletus and subjugated Thrace and Macedonia, but the expedition met an unlikely end when the fleet was struck by a storm. Wow. So the blue arrow is the land army campaign route. And the dotted one is the naval one. So you can see they sailed up this way. Right here to Mount Athos, where the Persian fleet was destroyed in a storm. And the land route went, where does it start? Up here. They crossed over here through Thrace, fighting as they went, I'm sure. And the recapture of Miletus, which, let's see, Miletus is right here. Alright, they tried, right? They did their best. And then let's read what happens at the defeat at Marathon in 490 BCE. Led by Datis and Artaphernes, the second Persian fleet sacked Naxos and prevailed in its siege of Eretria. At Marathon, the fleet faced a smaller but well-drilled Athenian force, who, having waited for several days for Spartan help, attacked the larger Persian army. The assault forced Persian troops to flee to their ships. Let's see what happened here. Here come the Persians. Here, they sacked Naxos. They came up here to Eretria, big battle here at Marathon, and they scooted out of there because they lost big time. There's an airplane overhead. It's very loud. My apologies. It's only getting louder. Okay, airplane, now is not the time we're talking about the Persian wars with Greece. There's more important things to do than fly loudly over my head. So many things. There's my neighbor stomping around, which thankfully he left to another room, it sounds like. Now the airplane flying overhead, which if I keep talking, it's going to go away, and there it goes. You probably couldn't hear a thing, but oh well. But now we have the second invasion from 480 to 479 BCE. Darius' son Xerxes launched his campaign against the Greeks in 480 BCE. Xerxes made extensive preparations to invade mainland Greece by building depots, canals, and a boat bridge across the Hellespont. In response, many Greek city-states formed an alliance to defend themselves against the Persian force. Let's head up here Xerxes' campaign is this arrow here. He very famously built this canal here and invaded all through here, which I think we're going to talk about in another box, I think. Very big invasion. Key battles are these purple swords. Purple swords, purple swords, purple swords, purple swords. I see so many different color swords. There we go. There's one here. And that might be it. So many different swords, but not the purple ones. Xerxes' naval fleet is the purple arrows. So they came up through here, attacked, 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 attacked. All the way down to there. And any cities sacked during this invasion? Athens. That's a bummer, isn't it? Athens with the revenge of the Persians. But let's see what came of it. Next is the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BCE. And whenever Thermopylae comes up on my channel, I have to say, if you've seen the movie 300, this is what the movie 300 is about. Although outnumbered by Persian forces, the Greeks held the narrow pass at Thermopylae for 3 days as Spartan king Leonidas mounted a last-ditch defense with a small force of Spartans and other Greek soldiers. Ultimately, the Persians took control of the pass, but Leonidas's glorious defeat instilled belief into the Greeks that they were capable of prevailing against the Persians. Let's see, there's Thermopylae right here. That's where the battle took place. Then we have the Battle of Salamis, also in 480 BCE. In September 480 BCE, the Greeks once more faced a much larger enemy force at Salamis. The Athenian general Themistocles employed a bold tactic. He lured the Persian fleet into the narrow straits and then launched an all-out assault from all sides. His victory forced the remaining Persian ships to retreat to Anatolia. That battle is right here at Salamis. And then we have the Battle of Plataea. Make sure you can see the box. Yeah, the Battle of Plataea in 479 BCE. The two opposing armies met at Plataea, Boeotia, in August 479 BCE. The Greeks, as at Marathon 11 years earlier, employed superior military tactics to overcome a much larger Persian force. On the very same day, the Persian fleet in Anatolia suffered a heavy defeat at Mycale. The two defeats ended Xerxes' ambitions to overrun Greece. So we can see, let's see, more purple swords. That's the purple swords from before. So I thought that was, I'm so confused. That's Plataea. Do you think it shows at Mycale? I don't know where that is. Mycale, let's see. In Anatolia, so it's over here somewhere. I don't think so. Anyway. There's that purple. Anyway. Let's see. I don't know. It's very confusing. Let's read all the little boxes here. There's a lot of battles here, but obviously it was a war, right? Let's start up in Athens. In October 480 BCE, the Persian army sacks Athens and burns the city. In September 480 BCE, helped by its position in the narrow straits of Salamis, the Greek army defeats the much larger Persian fleet. In June 479 BCE, Spartan forces break the Persian line and kill Persian general Mardonius. Then in August 480 BCE, following the Persian victory at Thermopylae, the state of Boeotia Boeotia. That is, okay, first of all, I have no idea how to pronounce it, but anyway, I can think of, it's very hard to say. Very funny. But but interesting, I think. July 480 BCE, over here, it says, let's see, Persian, it's hard to read against this purple. Persian fleet inflicts heavy losses on the Greek allied fleet at the Battle of Artemisium. Okay. It's hard to read black font against the dark purple. But here in 492 BCE, Mardonius's army annexes Macedonia, previously a vassal state of the Persian Empire. See, now if I had read all this before, I would have figured out which little boxes to read first so I can read them in order, but the whole point of this series is that I'm not reading it beforehand. Just going at it, getting my immediate reaction. Let's see, 492 BCE, a storm drives Mardonius's fleet onto rocks off Mount Athos, wrecking most of the ships and killing 20,000 men. Yeah, this was a disaster. Definitely a war ender for the Persians. That many perished in the sea. And then over here it says in 491 BCE, Mardonius's fleet reaches Thasos, where the people submit to Persian rule. Dear, here's more dark fonts on a dark background. Oh dear. I'm gonna have to lean over the book. I have to adjust this. You can't tell what I'm doing, but I'm changing my whole position. Okay, let's see. Spring 480 BCE, after crossing the Hellespont, Xerxes' army marches into Thrace and Macedonia. Down here in Sardis, 498 BCE, Greek forces catch the Persians unaware. A fire breaks out and destroys the lower city. That's unfortunate. Then over here, the sea route, 492 BCE. The Persian fleet, led by Mardonius, set sail to launch a direct attack on the Greek city-states. So we pretty much read all those boxes in reverse. But still really interesting how this fleet met so much trouble. And this invasion, while mighty and strong, wound up being defeated by the Greeks. We're going to read one more map tonight because the maps after this really changed the topic, and there's a lot more maps involved in that. We'll talk about it in a second. But we're going to read about Alexander the Great and his huge empire you can see down here. We're starting off with the conquest of Anatolia in 334 to 333 BCE. I just realized I can sit back without hunching over the book here. Let's see. Alexander confronted the Persian army for the first time at the Granicus River in modern Kosabash, Turkey, in the early summer of 334 BCE. The Persian army's plan to kill Alexander backfired because of its inability to hold its front line against the Macedonian cavalry. By spring 333 BCE, 30 cities in Anatolia had surrendered to Alexander. So here you can see his march through Anatolia. Here's Macedonia. So like they said, after the war with the Persians and disarray came to Greece, Macedonia wound up becoming the superior power. Alexander comes to the throne, and he's like, revenge time. So he goes after the Persians here, invading Anatolia and capturing everything in his path. Let's see what happens next. Liberator of Egypt, 332 to 331 BCE. In 331 BCE, Alexander reached Egypt, where the Persian satrap surrendered peacefully. Alexander was seen as a liberator who had freed the country from Persian rule and was proclaimed son of the Egyptian god Amun. He also founded the city of Alexandria, later the capital of the Greek kingdom of Egypt. So he goes down here, all the way through here, and attacks and conquers Egypt. And presumably comes back up this way, because it's the pink arrow. This long little detour. Looks like he went this way. Yes, he did. Heliopolis, Memphis, then here where he's like, I want my own city named after me. There's a lot of places in this area here that are named after Alexander and after his friends, and even places named after his favorite horse. Let's see, number 3, fight against Persia, 333 to 330 BCE. Alexander's first direct engagement with Persian king Darius III had occurred at the Battle of Issus, where he emerged victorious and forced Darius to flee the battlefield. Alexander went on to capture Persepolis, the Persian ceremonial capital. A weak Persian empire was all but wiped out when King Darius was killed by his satrap Bessos, who then met his own fate at the hands of Alexander. So here he goes, invading Persia, coming through here to Babylon, hopping over to Susa, which was like the kind of like administrative capital, and then over to Persepolis, the ceremonial capital. Then we have Hellenism, 330 to 327 BCE. After the fall of the Persian Empire, Alexander conquered the remaining northeastern provinces between 330 and 327 BCE. Throughout his conquests, Alexander founded many cities. These were planned along classical lines and featured the works of Greek artists to ensure that both the Greek language and the Hellenistic culture of his homeland spread across his empire. So here's his journey. Looks like he's going, there's a lot of arrows here. Through here, 330, up to there. He's in Media. Over here, a little detour. Up this way, down here. Stopping in Alexandria, Arachthon. And all the little blue dots are cities he founded. So like I said, we're going to see all the cities that he named after himself or others in his little friend group. We can see this Alexandria. There's an Alexandria. There's an Alexandria. There. Very close together. There's an Alexandria. That one's named after his horse, Alexandria Bucephalus. There's an Alexandria. There's an Alexandria. There's an Alexandria. There's an Alexandria. See, and number 5, threat thwarted by mutiny, 326 BCE. In 326 BCE, Alexander turned his attention to India. He conquered Punjab in one great battle at the river Hydaspes, but the subsequent mutiny by his war-weary troops forced Alexander to head home. While his commander, Craterus, guided a section of the army and Nearchus took charge of the naval fleet, Alexander led his battalion across the Macron Desert, an error that resulted in a large number of deaths. So this was kind of the tipping point here. He tried to go this way and they were like, please, we want to go home now. It's been like 5 years. And so he comes through this way. This is I guess where they went by sea, the rest went by land here, through the Macron Desert, over this way, back to Babylon. It looks like Craterus went this way, and Nearchus went this way by sea, and up to Babylon, where Alexander would meet his fate. So while we read the little boxes, let's start over here, because surely it begins over here. Let's see. Summer 334 BCE, Alexander defeats a Persian force augmented by Greek mercenaries. Let's see. I'm trying to read them so I can get them in order. Let's try to follow his route. Spring 333 BCE, Alexander cuts the legendary Gordian knot, a sign that he would conquer the rest of Asia. So if I remember, this knot, it was like a big rope knot, and it was like whoever could untie it would be like the hero, like the prophesied one. And he just got his sword and went broke it with a sword. So, yeah, that's Alexander in a nutshell for sure. Spring 332 BCE here in Tyre. Siege of Tyre results in both sides suffering a high number of casualties. Then we move to, what in the world? Summer 334, winter 331. Okay, summer 334 BCE. Alexander takes Halicarnassus. Oh, it's up here. That's why I thought it was this. This is a line of longitude. Up here in Halicarnassus, Alexander takes Halicarnassus after a siege. He appoints the local queen, Ada of Caria, to rule on his behalf. See, now if I had read all this before, I would have known where to go. But the whole point is that we're exploring together and learning together. Winter 331 BCE, Oracle of Amun proclaims Alexander the legitimate pharaoh of Egypt. Then up here in 331 BCE, Macedonian army transports military equipment along the Persian royal road during the conquest of Persia. Very smart of them. Then let's see. Battles here. He goes all throughout this region. Here we see fall 326 BCE. Following the Battle of Hydaspes, Alexander's troops stage a mutiny, refusing to engage in any more battles. I think it was also because the armies over here had elephants and they were like, okay, listen, we're tired. We want to go home and we don't want to fight elephant armies, right? 325 BCE, many troops in Alexander's battalion perish in the heat of the Macron Desert. And at sea in 325 BCE, under Nearchus's command, Alexander's fleet sails back up the Persian Gulf. And then Alexander died here in Babylon. And if I remember correctly, we don't know where he was buried. I think the most likely one was that he was buried in Alexandria, Egypt. But his tomb has never really been found. I know there's a lot of excavations of Alexandria. It's an island, so a lot of it is underwater. Like old Alexandria from this time period is now underwater, and they find all sorts of cool stuff there in the bay, but it's possible that Alexander's tomb is down there somewhere. Maybe, we don't know. It's the most likely candidate. But yeah, interesting little adventure Alexander had. And we're going to stop there because the next maps you see are going to be about Rome. So that's a whole other fish to fry. So we're going to read all about the founding of Rome and the Etruscans. You can't see it. The Etruscans and everything in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. I know this wasn't nearly as many maps as we used to do. I usually try to do around 5. But I'm just doing what the book's setting up for me. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a very good night. Good night.